Well, welcome to the show, Daniel.
Hi, Liz. Thank you for having me. The
I'm so
table,
glad that you're here with me
the
on
tables
my
have turned.
podcast.
Yeah. Thank you for taking over my podcast. This is exciting. I'm excited to do this. This is super fun. And I'm a little
Yeah,
nervous. I'm a
I know.
little
I like the
nervous.
idea. Yeah, same. I'm not normally on this side of the questions, nor am I actually all that often on the other side of the questions, to be honest. But yeah, when we were kind of talking about, man, it's been a while since I've been on the podcast. It might be fun to have me come back on. But then we started thinking, oh, would we maybe want to do this in a different way? I know we talked about it could be good to dive a little bit more into your backstory. There's probably people who are following you more recently, or
Mhm.
just maybe don't know all of the origin stories of Daniel Fava and private practice elevation.
Yeah.
We thought we'd jump into hearing a little bit more from you and really also maybe understanding more about your team, your services to make sure that your audience really understands what you and why you do it.
Yeah. Yeah. Sounds great. I'm excited.
Okay, great. Well, let's jump in. So tell us all, what did you do before private practice elevation?
How far back should I go?
Well, maybe not to birth. Uh,
Okay.
Career-wise, what's your
Okay.
career background overall, and then maybe more specifically, right before you started this, what did you
Yeah,
do?
yeah. So my background, I mean, I went to school for, Bachelor of Fine Arts. So like I kind of started with, I always was doing art. Like that was always my thing.
Mm.
I didn't really know what type of art I wanted to do in life growing up. I had like some ideas, and then I really fell in love with website design in college, which I really only had one course in website design, and it was very old school. That was back in the time where you would design stuff in Photoshop, and then you take it into another program and you would cut it up into little images, and then you would use HTML code to put it all back together. It was very basic, not like what we do these days. But I just loved making websites. It was fun to me. I made a website for my band in college called Red 11, and we were able to put our
Mm.
music on there. And so it was a lot of fun. And so after college, I worked for a couple marketing agencies, and I was a website designer. And it was kind of still in that space of like designing in Photoshop, then giving it to a developer to kind of recreate and program and all that sort of stuff. And then took a break when I got laid off, and then traveled around the world. And that is where I met you. I'm going to speed through that story. That's a whole other episode. So met you in Thailand, came home, and we started planning our life together. And so kind of figuring out new life, I was really just, a freelance web designer. Was still building websites. I was getting into WordPress at that time, and was helping people build WordPress websites, maintain WordPress websites, a couple different clients and stuff like that. So then kind of fast forward, and really like previous to private practice elevation and what was createmytherapistwebsite.com when I first started, I worked for 5 years at a nonprofit here in Atlanta called CARE, and that is care.org, not care.com, the babysitting service. That often got confused, but I started as a website designer. And then over the course of 5 years, I went from contract to full time, and then became the what was my role? Manager of user experience. And so what that meant was that I oversaw, I was on the fundraising team. So oversaw all of the different websites and platforms that we used to raise funds for fighting poverty and empowering women around the world. So it was very in line with sort of my missionary type background, world traveling background, and just kind of like heart for fighting poverty and different causes like that. So it was a great job, but kind of over time, it felt more corporate than exciting, and I didn't feel like I was part of that mission as much as I wanted to. So that was kind of when I got the entrepreneurial bug, and did some soul searching, and had helped you build your website and market
Mhm.
your practice
Yeah.
when you first started. And so I kind of fell
Mhm.
back on that could be really a great business, helping therapists create great
Mhm.
websites and get more clients online. So that is kind of the origin story there.
Okay. Yes. When I'm familiar with a lot of this, but I know your audience probably isn't so much.
You walked
Um,
through all
so
of the
yeah,
pain of figuring out what to do, and I think I probably
yeah,
spent like a good year like with just ideas in my journal, like I could do this as a business, I could do this as a business, and
mhm,
I know that was probably pretty scary for you to think that I was going to quit my job and launch a business, and then we also got pregnant, which I did launch my business just before
right.
our firstborn Samuel, which was a very scary transition, but hey, here we are. We're
Yeah,
alive.
yeah, absolutely. Yep. I know I'll never forget that day that we sat at the Flying Biscuit. I think it was like the Sandy Springs one.
Hmm.
And I was pregnant, newly pregnant, and we were
Yeah.
kind of deciding and having this like, hey, we need to sit down and have a business conversation. Like, is now the time that you
Yeah.
quit your job, start the business? Maybe it'll give you enough time to kind of get your feet under yourself with that before Samuel was born. So yeah, it's pretty vivid memory for me.
Yeah. Yeah. I know
So
it was hard.
yeah, but here we are.
Yeah.
So it kind of sounds like the goal all along wasn't necessarily to build this online marketing agency for therapists, but it kind of just naturally evolved. You've got the website design art background, so more on
Hmm.
the making websites pretty more than even learning how to code them yourself was kind of the starting place. And then obviously through our marriage and my business, that kind of became a focused on therapist part. But did you
Yeah.
kind of set out to build an online marketing agency for therapists? How did that evolve?
Yeah. Not at all, actually. I when I first started, I really thought this business was going to be focused on um, courses, like online courses, and giving people just education about website building. Just had all these
Mhm,
dreams of like, I'm gonna build these courses and and just get a bunch of people that I can serve each month, maybe like a membership type group model, something like that. I
mhm,
really, when I was trying to figure out what to do, I spent a lot of time listening to the Smart Passive Income podcast with Pat Flynn,
mm,
podcasts from Amy Porterfield, a lot of these like online marketing teachers and gurus, and it sounded just like so exciting to me. I thought that sounded awesome. So I started a website called createmytherapistwebsite.com, and I thought that was going to be the focus. I'm going to teach people how to create their websites, and I
okay.
provided tutorials and videos and just different aspects of building a website. And I did launch courses, and we
Mhm,
still have some courses to this day. But over time, I realized that not everybody wants to build their own websites, and a lot of therapists really struggle with the technical aspect of things.
yeah,
It's such a
I could raise my hand to that.
yeah,
I'm glad
it's
I've had you over the years because I probably wouldn't have been able to do it all without you.
it's a lot. And that's kind of what I learned too, even with the courses. While I did my best to train and teach and break things down, there were some people that, went through the courses and they were able to launch their websites. There were other people that were getting very hung up on very small things like, I can't change the color of this font here, it's like it gets very nuanced. And some people are maybe just not, they don't have the mindset, or just sometimes it just doesn't click building a website. And so I learned that a
Mhm,
lot of people, they just don't want to do it, or they would just rather hire somebody to do it. So, I was freelancing from the onset too. Like I launched the business with one client, one freelance client, and I was the one creating the websites. But as you kind of go on and you learn like, okay, I need this many projects to really make this sustainable for our family and for the business. You learn that, okay, I need some help. And I also learned that I don't necessarily I enjoy building websites, but I don't necessarily love like getting so deep into the code and like really figuring out all the technical stuff.
mhm,
And because I was also running a business and doing courses and like all these things, it's hard to like shift from marketing and sales to then like the development brain. And I think that
yeah,
it
that makes
became
sense.
it became stressful for me, but also it was at a detriment to my clients because
Mhm,
I really want to provide a great service. I really want their websites to look excellent, function great. And so I just realized, well, we can probably provide a better product if I'm not the one actually providing it. And so that was kind of where we started to grow into more of the agency piece, was that I started working with some developers to help us kind of bring the visions to life. Um, and you still there? Still there? And we're back. Liz, you just lost power, but we're back.
Yes, there's a storm rolling through, so you just never know what you're going to get, huh?
All right. Well, I kind of remember where I was at. I was just talking about how I
Okay.
started hiring, working with other developers, and everything kind of in my business has always been, the sort of the progression is me trying to, and I think a lot of people kind of go through this. You try to provide the service, as best you know how, and then you kind of come up
Hmm.
against some walls where you're like, okay, I want to either grow, which means kind of
Hmm.
do more of this so I can, increase revenue and reach more people. And I also want to do it better. So that has kind of happened, even after hiring a developer, getting more projects, then I was able to take on more projects. Well, taking on more projects means more project management. So then I hired a project manager. And so now we've got the website design and development project side of things pretty much kind of dialed in and kind of like how we do things. Well, then SEO started growing, because we don't want to just provide great websites that look pretty. We want people to actually find those websites and get our clients more of their clients. So that started
Hmm.
growing. So over a year ago, I think it was, I hired Lindy, our SEO specialist. And so was able
Okay.
to then give more tasks to her in the same sort of vein, in that I need somebody who's like just working on SEO so they can really be in the world of our clients and in their websites and in their analytics and kind of knowing what's going on, instead of me kind of like, okay, I'm going to do your SEO now. Okay, after that, I'm going to work on a podcast. And after that, I'm
Hmm.
going to have a meeting one-on-one with my developer, So it's
Hmm.
just kind of like trying to get to these different levels of excellence and providing great care and support for our clients. So that's kind of how it's
Yeah.
morphed into an
Okay.
agency. And just also, building courses and selling courses was actually a lot more work. Not more work. It was more slow going than I actually thought it was going to be. And I probably did things a little bit
Mm.
backwards, where I didn't have a huge audience when I first launched. So that was never very lucrative. Now I kind of do courses in a way that feels good to me. Like we have our SEO course where it's weekly coaching plus an SEO
Mm.
course. And so that means I can provide a little bit more support, and it's not as large of a project as building an entire website. We scratched that course, so
Mhm.
that is gone. So that's kind of,
Okay.
yeah, that's kind of where we're at now. Now we definitely are
Yeah.
an agency, but that's not how I set out to build it.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Well, and it sounds like you kind of naturally started to go in this direction anyway, but I was curious to have you share who all is on your team at this point in time, as well as what are all of the services that Private Practice Elevation offers? Because I'm imagining that some of your audience, they know about certain pieces of it, but they
Mhm.
may not know all of the different things that you and your team do now.
Yeah. Yeah. Let me try to remember everybody. We've got a virtual assistant,
Uh-huh.
and a project manager. And we have
Hmm.
two developers who are pretty much full time that focus on the website development projects. So that means like
Okay.
start to finish, like building the websites.
Okay.
And we now, just as of 2 weeks ago, we have two developers who focus on our care plans. And
Okay.
that is our WordPress care plans, where we're maintaining WordPress websites, keeping them backed up, updated, and then
Mhm.
handling support tickets as they come in. And
Okay.
we have a care plan manager who oversees our care plan stuff. And we have an SEO specialist that does our SEO stuff.
Okay.
I think that's everybody.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's like a test, right?
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
you're
It's
doing
it's
good.
it's a lot of people, but I'm always afraid I'm gonna leave someone out.
Yeah. Okay. So as far as all of the different services that you offer, you kind of named some of them, but just kind of saying it in
Yeah.
different ways. Obviously, if somebody wants to come to you because they want you to build a website for them, which is
Yeah.
that the main bulk of your clients who you're serving? Is that kind of how they're coming in, or what's really bringing them to you? Is it a mix of a lot of different things now?
It's really a mix. We've had in the last 2 years, I'd say our SEO work has actually grown a lot in that a lot of
Okay.
I'd say maybe the majority or at least 50% of the people who you fill out a form on our website or I have a clarity call with are looking for SEO. They're looking for more visibility. Um, but
Okay.
yeah, as far as our services, yeah, it's SEO we kind of
Mhm.
break it down into three services: SEO, and then there's website design and development, which can
Mhm.
also kind of include copywriting. We don't really do like one-off copywriting projects.
Okay.
It's more wrapped into our website design and development. I guess that's another person in the business that I forgot, copywriter.
Yeah.
And so yeah, so website design and development, and then our
Mhm.
care plans, which really just
Okay.
helps to take a lot of stuff, a lot of that technical aspect of maintaining a WordPress website off of our clients' shoulders. And we love
Mhm.
to do that for folks. And that kind of includes your hosting and your SSL certificate, keeping everything up to date. And then if something does go wrong, your website gets hacked or goes down, we can take care of that. Like we have our different notifications that come up and we see that, we try to get on that as quickly as possible to get your website back up. And then if you have
Okay.
content updates that you want, you don't want to have to be the one who's always going into WordPress making those updates. You can just send us a support ticket via email. So that's
Mhm.
care plans. So yeah,
Mhm.
SEO, care plans, website design and development. That's really the main three
Okay.
things, and that has just kind of grown out of what I feel like um, we do best and what I really enjoy. There's been times where I
Mhm.
kind of started dabbling in other services like Google ads and Facebook ads and stuff like that. I realized that was not for me. I really like the website focus side of things.
Mhm. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. And I would say I love those setting up those support tickets and being able to email your team like, hey, can you make this edit? Hey, can you change rather than like, I mean, that's that piece of, I'm sure I could do it, but it's as the therapist business owner, I don't want to be logging into the back end of my
Right,
website and trying to
right.
remember where to edit a page or where to post a blog post. Like, I'd so much rather uh, pay your team to have access to where I just email, Bernadette or
Yeah.
whoever it is, and they're so quick and so responsive. And I
Hmm.
would imagine that's one of those things like that maybe therapists don't think about in the beginning. There's the like a lot of emphasis on the getting the website up and live, but then that part, whether that's the care plans or the maintenance or the keeping it secure or keeping it
Yeah.
updated. I know I wouldn't have known anything about that. And I wonder if a lot of therapists maybe aren't as connected to that part, depending
Yeah.
on the phase of their business. That seems like an important thing, but almost like kind of that boring, like
Yeah.
getting plumbing work done on your house or something. It's like not
Yeah.
anything you want to pay for, but if you don't, then you could get
Yeah.
big problems happening.
It's like insurance, I would say. Yeah, especially if you're not making a lot of updates to your websites, like updates to content and stuff. The care plan is like insurance because if something does go wrong, if you're not updating your WordPress and backing things up, it could go down. And we've had a number of people who they decline the care plan, and that's totally fine. They can do what they want, but we let them know like it's up to you to kind of keep things updated and maintained, because if you don't update that software, it leaves security holes and people can come in and hack it, And so we have had a number of people who we haven't heard from in a long time, and then we get that frantic email, my website's down, and how do we get it back up?
Mhm.
What do we have to do? And then we obviously have to charge them for that time. Whereas if they were on a care plan, we would just kind of see it right away. We would jump in and see what we could do, and we'd have all their stuff on file. We'd be able to get in quickly, all that stuff. And so, it's necessary if you're on WordPress. It sounds like a boring service, but it's actually one of my favorite.
Yeah, that's great. So are there other services that you don't yet offer in the business that you could kind of see down the road or that might be looming on the horizon?
I've been really kind of comfortable with where we're at right now. I mean, sometimes I think about, should we be doing ads, paid advertising, and there's just so many people who do that well that we refer to. So we don't offer that. Um,
Mhm.
I guess probably maybe different aspects of design, maybe.
Mm,
It's hard for me to wrap my brain around it just because of like how we have our processes. So we'd have to
mhm,
like really be in a good place of like our current services like fully dialed in with people leading each of our team. That's kind of like where I feel like I'm heading, is to have more of those
mhm,
team leads who oversee those three services that we offer, so
mhm,
that we can really reach more people and just provide a great service. So those would really need to be dialed in to say like, hey, we now offer graphic design or logo
mhm,
creation, logo design, branding, stuff like that. Because we don't, people do ask
mhm,
about branding a lot. And again, too, there's
mhm,
there's great people like Practicery out there who can handle that stuff and do it well. And that's it's a
mhm.
whole other beast than the website stuff. So I've been pretty content with what we're offering right now, but we'll see. To be continued on that.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So, as far as your own work that you do in the business at this point in time, what's your favorite part? What are you really loving about your role right now?
Um, hmm. I am I'm kind of a geek, so I really love like building the processes and it, processes and like seeing things automated and kind of go through steps, so that our clients get, the best service. And so I'm constantly looking at the deadlines on the projects, and if things are missed, and like it's always like, well, why was this missed? What needs to happen? Like what needs to change in the process, and how can we make that better? And it's, meeting with my team to do that. So that's one aspect. That's kind of just part of my, also just my introversion, where I just like to dig in and focus on those things. Building building funnels and processes is really exciting to me. I super geeked out when I purchased the paid version of Zapier, and I was able to connect that to
Mm,
our intake process, so that when somebody fills out the form on our website, it kicks off a process that they're then able to schedule a call. And when they schedule a call, it goes into my CRM, and I can see them, and they go through our pipeline, and I can write notes every step of the way, and like all that stuff, like where it was all just kind of like pieced together before. Like it's super efficient now, and that just like it makes me so happy when that happens. So that's kind of like the introverted side. And then the other side
mhm,
is that I do get to talk to just so many great people who are doing great work, all around the country and even the world. Like we have
mhm,
some clients who are in Australia and UK and Canada. So I get to talk to people from all over the place. And I've also really enjoyed the podcast as well, because again, I get to kind of just learn from great people doing
mhm.
doing great work, and just sharing their expertise. And it's just cool, like who you get to meet along the way.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. Well, those are my questions that I had from you on the business side of things. Before we shift over, I thought it'd be fun to ask a few personal questions too.
Mm.
Anything that I missed that you'd want to make sure that you share with people since you get to be on this side of the mic?
No, this is great. This is giving me like an opportunity to share some of these things I don't always talk about. I know I've shared my story here and there, but yeah,
Mhm,
this kind of encompasses where I've been and where we're at now. So I love it.
mhm. Okay, great. Well, let's go into some, just kind of maybe rapid fire favorites type questions.
I'm
You don't have to think too
terrible.
hard
I'm
about
terrible at
these.
these.
I know, but this will just help people know a little bit more about you. And that if they've been listening for a while, they've probably picked up on bits and pieces because you tend to share that in your emails or in your intros, sharing little
Yeah.
things about your life or family. But
Yeah.
um, let's just go through some of these and see what your answers are. So if you had
Okay.
to choose a favorite season of the year, what's your favorite season?
I have to choose one for each of these.
Yeah.
I still love winter, even though I'm in
Mhm.
Atlanta. I still love winter.
Okay.
I don't get to see the
Yeah.
snow, but I grew up in New York, so I love a good snowstorm in the
Yeah.
mountains. But then I do also love when it gets warm too. So I don't know.
Yeah, I think you most miss the like winter and snow, it seems like,
Yeah.
especially living in Atlanta in the last few years, we have not gotten a decent
Yeah.
snow. And even this year, you're like, I don't think it's coming. I
Yeah.
don't I don't think we're gonna get it this year.
Yeah. I have to wait a whole other year for travel.
Mhm. Yeah. Okay. Well, what's your favorite thing to drink?
Old fashions.
Oh, okay.
That was easy.
Because you're a bourbon guy, right?
Did you, yeah.
Is there anything more specific than that?
Um,
Specific type of bourbon in your old fashioned?
well, we always enjoy Buffalo Trace Old Fashioned. We've found that that has that's not just me. That's you too. We
I like
found
that
like
too. You
it's
turned me onto that. Yep.
yeah, that's been good. But yeah, I'm pretty happy whenever I can get an old fashioned. I always try it with different bourbons, but I usually come back to Buffalo
Mhm.
Trace as being just like really, really good.
Mhm. I agree. It's my favorite.
Yeah.
Um, do you have a favorite dish? Food dish?
Um,
Not like, do you have a favorite plate that you eat off of?
what other dish?
If you would like to answer that, I suppose you could,
Well, if it
but
was my kids, it would be the blue plate. They're always screaming about the blue. I
right.
want the blue plate. Uh, my favorite dish, um, probably like just really good pizza,
Okay.
like Antico's
Is there
pizza
a certain one that comes to mind? Yeah.
and Antico right down the road here
Okay.
at the
Okay.
Battery by the Brave Stadium.
Okay.
Really
And
good
that's like wood fired for people who don't
wood-fired
know.
Italian, yeah, Italian. I think
Okay.
it's like Neapolitan style or something like that, I think.
Maybe. Yeah, I think
Yeah,
so. Uh-huh.
it's so good.
Yeah. And there's one you really like that has like spicy sausage and peppers and things on it that isn't my favorite, but
Yeah,
that's kind
it's
of your
like
choice when you get.
it's salami and I think like a pepperoni sort of thing. Yeah.
Mm,
Now I'm starving. Thanks.
yes. I know. I'm sorry. Yeah. I mean, for the people who don't know you, you would live off of salami if your wife didn't love you so much and didn't put limitations on how much like cured and
Yeah.
processed meats. I mean, between
Yeah.
hot dogs, salami, and pepperoni,
Yeah.
that would be you living your best life, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
Throw in a taco or two and you're good.
Yes, I do like taco and soft pretzels. Don't forget about soft pretzels.
Oh, yes. Uh-huh.
Oh,
Okay. Do you
really?
have a favorite band that you like to listen to?
Oh, that's a hard one too.
Because you were in a band, as you told the audience.
Yes, I was in a
Music guy.
what do we call it? Like a pop punk rock band in college. So I kind of
Mm,
my background and my love of music was really in punk rock, and sort of that pop punk scene back in
hmm
around early 2000s. And I'd
Okay.
say
And what did you do in that band?
I played guitar and I sang and I wrote songs
Okay.
and I jumped
Electric guitar mainly?
electric guitar,
Okay. Yeah.
yes. Fender
Okay.
Stratocaster.
Okay.
But as far as favorite band goes, as far as ones that I still come back to for like the longest time, probably Thrice would be my favorite band. I don't know if anyone would even know Thrice, but yeah, really good, really good band. Some really heavy,
Mm-hmm.
loud songs. Put them on in the car when the kids aren't around. Not that, I mean, the kids actually like Thrice now, but sometimes when I just need like
Me
to
too.
just rock out, I can do that. And they started off as like a heavy band, but now they actually are pretty complex in their musicianship and the songwriting that they do. So
Okay. Yeah. It's a good band. You taught me to like them. So
yes.
people should check out Thrice. If you haven't heard of them, go give it a listen. Think of Daniel Fava. Um, favorite book?
That I can't choose. There's too many books. I don't know.
Yeah.
Do
And
you
you're a
know of a
reader, right?
I am a reader, so I'm always learning and growing. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I loved the Harry Potter series, Lord of the Rings
Mm-hmm.
series, read those multiple
Mm-hmm.
times. Um,
Uh-huh.
there's just so many different genres of books that it's like hard to choose
Right.
just one. Is there one that you've heard me
Yeah.
yak about a lot?
I mean, I probably would have said one of those two series as far as
Okay.
like in the fiction sphere, but you
Yeah.
read a lot of nonfiction. I mean, I feel like more recently it's been business development kind of stuff. You probably
Yeah.
have some favorites in that scene. And then also a lot of like faith-based, like
Yeah.
spiritual exploration type books too. You read all Daniel's a deep a deep guy, people. He's a deep well. He's read like all of C.S. Lewis and lots of other kind of philosophy, theology kind of
Yeah.
stuff historically.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you
And
have a favorite business book?
oh man. I'm kind of blanking. I look behind me on the
Right. Fix this
um
next. I can read that in the background.
yeah, I do like the what's his name? Mike Michalowicz's books. Profit
Hmm.
First was really impactful, I'd say. That's probably one of his
Hmm.
more well-known and popular books, Profit First, because that really kind of
Yeah.
taught me how to sort of organize finances in my business to take care of the
Hmm.
different parts of the business. So that was probably like the most practical, impactful one. From a marketing perspective, I would say Donald Miller's Building a Story Brand book. I talk about that a
Mm.
lot on the podcast as well. It's
Hmm.
definitely that one. Those are two that come to mind.
Hmm. Okay. Yeah. Anything in the kind of faith sphere that stands out as like a favorite?
Again, there's so many. From C.S. Lewis, probably The Great Divorce. Um,
Okay.
and to be honest, I'm not totally like remembering the premise of it.
It's
But
been a
it's
while.
yeah, it's been a while. But I remember it just being like super interesting and just like thinking about things in a different light. Of kind of the sort of like the I guess the divorce is like the separation between like heaven and earth, and it's all kind of like in this sort of imaginary type story, where this person is walking and meeting these different forget, is it like angels or something like that? I don't know. I'll have to go back
Okay.
and read it, but I just remember I've read it a few times. It's a very short book, and maybe that's why it's not totally sticking with me. It's been a long time since I've read it, but that one was really impactful. And then and lately it's been John Mark Comer and his books.
Mm.
And
Mhm.
you just finished reading for the second time
Yes.
The Ruthless Elimination of Hurry. That was really impactful, especially in this
So good.
crazy busy life that we lead, and it's been often
Mhm.
a challenge for me to find quiet space and be able to actually be present with with you, with our kids, with
Mhm.
the business, and in different ways. So that was a really impactful book on just finding ways to slow down and connect with God and the people in my life.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, he's great. I've been loving all of his stuff.
Yeah.
We've been on a kick with that recently.
Yep.
Okay. Um, one more maybe fun one before we start wrapping this up. Favorite show?
Favorite show? What genre?
You don't like these forced choices, do you?
Yeah, I don't feel like
Any like favorites of all time that you're like, oh, I could just kind of go back to this and keep watching it.
probably The Office. Maybe that would
Yeah.
probably be like the all-time. The
Yeah.
Office, and The
Hmm.
Simpsons as well. But
Hmm.
Simpsons, like not current Simpsons, but like Simpsons when I watched The Simpsons, which was basically, I don't know, probably like 1995 to like 2005, like is sort of this like
Okay.
golden era of comedy with The Simpsons that
Okay.
I can watch an episode and I just remember all the jokes, but still just I crack up.
Mhm. Yeah, there are a lot of Simpsons references in our life, and
Yeah.
that is one of those few not shared loves between us. So
Yeah.
I've heard them. Haven't really gotten into that, but yes, we did
Yeah.
watch The Office together multiple times
Yeah.
through, and that does seem like a good one to come back to.
Yeah, we do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I will end with the very last question, which is one that I heard on a number of podcasts that I listened to. Um, And the question is, what is saving your life right now? And this can be anything small, minor, major, serious, whatever, but what would you say is something in your life that is really saving your life right now?
Um, hmm. Yeah, I guess probably the first thing that comes to mind, we were just talking about John Mark Comer and some of the content that I've actually been exploring with him is really centered around prayer, and finding
Mm.
like rhythms to my prayer life and sort of the discipline there, to kind of just make space to be with God and to pray and to also make space to be aware of myself and like my own emotional needs and things that are going in my life that I maybe just kind of push below the surface. And a lot of times when you're quiet and you slow down, those things come up, and then I can also bring those things to the Lord and kind of work through them. And I feel like over the last few months that has helped me kind of build a lot more peace and just
Mhm.
awareness in my life, and it's just helped me be a lot more present lately. So I guess that would be it.
Mm.
It's the first thing that comes to
Yeah,
mind.
I think that's a good answer.
That and bourbon.
Great. Yeah. There, that's another one.
Can those go together? Prayer and bourbon.
Yeah, I believe so, right? There's no divide between the secular and the sacred,
That's
right?
right. That's right.
Great. Well, thanks for allowing me to take over your podcast today. It's been a
Yeah,
lot
this
of
was
fun getting
fun.
to ask you questions and kind of highlight the man behind private practice elevation. So I know probably for most of your audience, they know where you are already. But if there's somebody who maybe is curious about working with you or finding out more about those three great services that your business really emphasizes, what are the best places of where they can find you and how to get a hold of you?
Yeah, you can just go to privatepracticeelevation.com, and that's where you'll find everything related to the podcast and our services. And if you want to learn a little bit more, you can schedule a free 15-minute call. There's just a get started button right in the top right of the website, or you just go to privatepracticeelevation.com/kickoff.
And is that the same for any of those three services? Someone might be like this, let's say somebody wants to do SEO or somebody just wants to get on that care plan. Is that a good first step for anyone?
Yeah, that's a great place to start, because then we can have a conversation just
Okay.
to make sure that I really understand your needs and your goals, and can kind of filter which way you should go. Because sometimes people don't actually know exactly what they need. They kind of need to talk through their situation. And so we want to make sure that we, provide the best fit. And if we need to talk longer than that 15 minutes, we'll schedule a deeper dive call where we'll really look into their online presence, and again, find out what's going to be the best course of action.
Okay. Great.
Great.
Well, this was fun.
This is fun.